Three, two, one. Today, I'm gonna do two things. I'm gonna be smoking this Tatiana Caribbean Chill because I really need to chill after today. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about trucking, um, the perils of truck driving that only a truck driver would know. A lot of people hear things, my friends especially, they hear the good and the bad, especially the bad from me because I've been through a lot in my 16, 17 years of trucking. I've been through what we call too much. Um, a lot of bad and a lot of good, but a lot of the good just barely overtakes the bad. So I'm going to try and combine two things here with the cigar. I'm going to do a little cigar review when I get home. I'm going to show you how to set up a humidor if that's going to be a first time for you. I'll show you how to set up a humidor, how to start it, get it to the right temperature so your cigars are saved. I'm not a connoisseur. I'm a new regular cigar user, about one a week right now. I use it to calm myself because everybody has calming steps. And I'm squinting because the sun's in my face and the shade is in no place where there's a good place to sit. So, I'll show you my shirt later. It's a new truck driving shirt I got. Trucking, you can't get out of it because it's like the mafia, something like that. So, my calming things are golf and being at my house in the Florida room or watching movies, relaxing. And I can't do either of those things pretty much when I'm on the road, not working for other people. So, I need something to calm. I can't woo-saw in the truck because it gets on my nerves. There's so many bad companies and bad people in trucking. So let's start this up. And what I'm going to do, I'll show you the cutting techniques and all that stuff at another time. For now, most of the cigar stuff will be at home, relaxing, where I can show you step-by-step guides and things like that. But for now, the cigar is my relaxing time, and I'll start from scratch. So, this is, I think I told you, Tatiana Caribbean Chill. So we're going to chill. Right there, you can see it, Tatiana Caribbean Chill. And we're going to do some chilling here. Proper way to light a cigar is to even it with the burn and have a windproof lighter. That's important. This is a 3 flame lighter. You start it out that way and then you do the chill. Sometimes I cut it in a V formation. That's what this lighter does, a V formation cut. So you can see here, clip it and cup it. So sometimes I get a little bit of tobacco in there. See the weeds the piece come out. So my trucking career started in the year 1990, before cell phones, before any kind of real electronics, definitely no GPS, anything like that. This is nice. It has a sweet taste to it. So I'd like to be farther back here. The sun's right in my face, so you see me squinting, that's what that's going to be from. But my career started in 1990, and I went to trucking school. Well, I wanted to be a pilot. So first was, let's do pilot school. Let's see what we can do. And back then, your eyes had to be 20/40 without glasses. and I was basically blind. In one eye, I was 2200, so I could have been legally blind if I wanted to get that handicap, whatever to it. And the other eye was just as bad, almost 2100. With glasses, they were corrected, but obviously, I didn't like wearing glasses. I didn't want to do anything with glasses. And just in case you're wondering, I'm over here in Georgia. Temperature's about 68, 70 degrees. It's a perfect day, beautiful golf day. A little bit of wind, sun is beaming, and not a cloud in the sky. Tasty cigar. I like it. Cigar when you can taste something. I don't know the flavors yet, so I can't really. I can taste that it's not just tobacco, but it's like a little bit of spice, a little bit of licorice kind of thing, and I don't know. You just taste it in your mouth. And with a cigar, you do not inhale, which is good. I smoked cigarettes for 20 years, pretty much average 2 packs a day, just boom, 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 just chain smoking. And I smoked Newport menthol, Newport box. Um, and it pretty much killed my lungs, but I felt healthier back then, which is weird. I could walk without being out of breath and things like that. And now I'm at like 70% of my capacity for my lungs. So I can feel it walking upstairs. I'm out of breath. And just 10 years ago, I was doing some 5Ks. I quit smoking in 2006. 2009 and 10, my then girlfriend and I would go on 5K runs, or we'd run 5K around the neighborhood just with the dogs. It didn't have to be a contest, it was us on a daily. So 4 or 5 times a week, she got me running 5 miles, 6 miles. And I mean, I was in the best shape that I was since high school. That's how good it was. And we'll get to that another time. I have so many chapters. I want to write 2 books. One book on my life so people can learn from all the errors and mistakes and tribulations and failures and few successes I've had. And the other book is about trucking, how to deal with truck drivers, how to get along with truck drivers on the road. Because four-wheelers have no idea what they're doing. I see it every single day. They ride up to a truck and they have no idea. Should I pass? Should I stop? Should I ride beside them? Should I stop behind them? They're just lost. I mean, so that needs to be taught. Somebody really needs to get down and dirty and have one subject on driving with trucks, riding with trucks. This is so relaxing. It's nice because I can't get high. I can't do any marijuana or anything. I'm a truck driver. I can't really drink. If you drink, you're gonna have to be off of that truck, out of that truck, or in the sleep, or not in the driver's seat for 12 hours. So I just don't keep any alcohol in the truck with me. I drink a little when I get home, but that's home, just like everything else with my relaxing. In the truck, I had nothing to relax. I would watch a movie here or there, but then I'd get interrupted. So with this, it's now a cigar, relaxing. And I stopped at JR Cigar in North Carolina, the discount place. I bought from them online. They also sent me a whole bunch of samples to try out. So JR Cigar, thank you. So I bought some premium cigars from their factory, their not factory, their store in Selma, North Carolina. Good people. They don't have the same discounts that you see online, but it was still good for that. So I keep going all over the place. I'm gonna have to write myself a little chapter and subtitle list, put it in front of me. That way I can see what I'm doing. But basically, what I planned to do when I was driving over to here is I was gonna talk about my jobs I've had, the 8 years of truck driving from 1990 on, how I wanted to be an airplane pilot, but I couldn't make that, so I wasn't good enough. And basically, my mom said, truck drivers get to travel all around the country too. What about truck driving? And I thought, we used to love getting the truck drivers to honk when we were at the Eastern Shore of Maryland. We'd go down the lane and do that little horn honk thing for, I don't know, hours. And we couldn't even keep count of how many trucks we got to honk their horn and tap at us and give them little black kids a smile. And we used to cheer for everyone that did. It was a lot of fun. Um, So we always liked truck drivers. Didn't really have any truck drivers in the family that we knew of. And I was gonna go for it. So I went to school at one place when my mom and I were living in Laurel, Maryland. I actually came back from Florida, and my mom said, "You have to go to school somewhere if you come back." And I said, "Okay, I want to be a pilot." And that's how that started. And I knew I was going to school somewhere. So it started with pilot, and then it became truck driver. I found one school. I passed the tests with flying colors, written tests, and everything went great there. And this is after career choice after career choice. My first career, I worked for the Fraternal Order of Police, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Second career, I worked for the government, one of those three-letter government organizations, and that's all I can say about that. And then I did retail sales, which mostly cameras, which got me into a lot of good stuff there. And then that brought me down to Florida because I was able to get into a store, and I moved in my house down there right across the street. Sometimes I would walk to work. It was just a great experience until it started slacking away. And then I was odd job here, odd job there, which is also different chapters. After that was, Mom, what am I going to do? And also, one of the chapters, I worked with handicapped kids. We had two houses, and we took care of handicapped and mental kids, and we learned how to take them down without pain, and it was really something. Learned a lot with that job. But then I said, Mom, what am I going to do? She said, you can come back up here, but you have to go to school somewhere. So school, I said, okay, I want to be a pilot. I want to fly planes. I've always enjoyed it. The few times I got to fly at this point, I liked it a lot. And I was thinking, great, I'm going to travel the world. Failed that because of my eyes. Then I became a truck driver and went to school. The first school I went to ended up closing, and the second school was in Baltimore, Maryland. My mom had to drive me in the morning to the train station. I took the train about an hour, a little over an hour, to Baltimore, and then from there I called a bus that would take me to the school. Or sometimes after I got off the train, I would actually walk because it was like 15 blocks. Or I take a bus, or sometimes some classmate would be there. Oh, I'll pick you up, and they'll pick me up. But that never lasted either for long. But that was my process to and from the school. And we spent 8 weeks in class. The first 4 weeks we weren't even allowed to get in a truck. We could peek in the truck, we could look in, but we couldn't even sit in the driver's seat. And that's the way school should be now. 4 weeks of nothing but bookwork. 4 weeks of learning how to drive. 4 weeks of learning safety procedures in trucking and cars. 4 weeks of watching movies, and a lot of paperwork. I mean, a ton of paperwork for 4 weeks, Monday through Friday. And I was taking that train and the bus and all that every day, back and forth. When I take the way back, somebody would drop me off at the train station. I always had that, so I didn't have to take the bus back. But after that, I would be hopping on the train for an hour or so with all those other regular people, and then I'd get to the train station. And if my mom was early enough, I would get a ride from her. Otherwise, I'd hop on the bus and take it over to where we go, and then walk another while to get back to the apartment. That's dedication. So the next 4 weeks of school, what a good taste. a true cigar without any chemicals, nothing, just wrap and filler. And I'm just learning about the top third here. The second third is this part where you're going to get a different taste, and the last third is over here. Three parts to the cigar, one, two, and I'm on the number three part right now. So I'm learning about all these tricks. I had to learn that you don't just light a cigar, you light it in that special way that I did before. You savor it and taste it in your mouth. And even on your tongue, you can taste, it's not tobacco, it's tobacco flavored. Like, say they put, I don't know, they pour butter on top of tobacco and then burn it up, and then you taste butter. I don't know how they do it, but you can actually taste flavors. These connoisseurs that I'm meeting, some of the guys like online, they're talking about. I taste a hint of. I mean, they're naming all kinds of spices. A hint of butter and a little bit of seasoning, and I can actually taste that some fruit flavors, like a fruit juice in there. And I don't know how they do that. I don't know if they're just bullshitting us or they're actually telling the truth. But I can taste something. So I'm thinking about this YouTube here, maybe doing like a cigar talk where maybe cigar talks. If I could get 100 people to do it, I like being online, but I'm nowhere near because I'm not a pretty lady. I'm not a big muscular strip dancing guy or whatever these people want, but not even pretty lady. I'm not a lady. Any lady can get 1,000 views on the internet for doing nothing. I've seen videos of a girl putting, and people who aren't even into golf are over there clicking likes. 3,000 likes for a girl made a 10-foot putt, because her butt was there. She knows what she's doing. I can't do that. I can show my butt and putt in shorts. And I made, when I went golfing last week, I made probably like a 56-foot putt, and I knew it was going in. I hit that baby. It went in. It went around, broke this way, broke left, and then started breaking to the right again into the hole. The guys I was playing with cheered louder than me. They were like, "Yeah!" The guys on the tee were like, "Yeah!" I was like, "Yeah!" I knew I made it. So, I mean, but that wasn't recorded, and if it was, it wouldn't get 10,000 views on the internet. So, anyway, I made it through school 8 weeks. I was in the top three of my class. I've always been in the top something of the class because, I don't know, bookwork, schoolwork just came easy for me. When I wanted to be a pharmacy tech, valedictorian came easy for me. But the classes are altered. It's not like a valedictorian of 300 people or anything like that. But it's still getting straight A's and having a 4.5 average. A's on everything with ease. Pharmacy was going to be my thing, but that's another chapter. I have a bunch of chapters. So, this is nice. I just wish the shade, it's almost over here. It's coming a little more. And then I'll be in the shade and you'll be able to see me without a squint like that. Without a squint. I can't do it now. So, I made it through trucking. The first company I worked with was called, I'm not going to give names of companies, but this company was in Maryland, Hanover, Maryland. They were pretty successful. They were in politics and everything about Anne Arundel County and all that. They had slip seating trucks. It was my first company though, so I had no idea or choice what that was. But slip seating means you're in the truck while you're in the truck, and after 2 or 3 weeks, you're done. You get out of the truck, you clean everything out of the truck because somebody else is going to take it. So it's slip seating. It's never your truck. So that was the first one. My very first job, I went through their interview and everything, and they didn't give us a road test. They hired me right out of school, maybe 2 weeks after school. And yeah, are you ready for this? This is the wild part. My first job, they said, you're going to North Carolina, Toys R Us from Baltimore area, Hanover, Maryland. I don't know, 8-hour ride, something like that. And my very first one, that's your truck. Here's your paperwork. There's your logbook. Get in. I get in this truck and I'm doing it myself. There's no trainer with me. There's nobody beside me. My very first run down to North Carolina from Maryland by myself. This big truck all by myself. It was a little scary. I went past the first weigh scale in Virginia because I forgot about it, and I was like, "Uh oh!" And the whole time, the rest of Virginia, I was wondering if when I get down to the bottom, am I supposed to show a ticket or some way that I did the weigh scale? And I was like, "Oh my!" But then now I realize, hey, sometimes you got to pass a weigh scale. Sometimes you just don't want to go in there and talk to them. But back then, I had no idea what to do. So that was my very first run. I made it down there. Coming back, I actually got on 95 South instead of 95 North. Didn't realize it for probably about 15 miles, and then I was like, wait a minute, it keeps saying Florida. I'm supposed to be going back to Hanover. So that was a rough ride, but it was fun, and it was a learning experience, and I learned the hard way. Back then, no GPS, no phones, nothing. You had maps, you had books, you had to know how to read a map. You had stick shifts, there were no automatics. What else? Oh, yeah, quarters for payphones because there was no cell phones or anything like that. So you'd get your quarter. What you do is, for every place you delivered, if you didn't already know where it was or had been there, or they're not big, like Toys R Us back then was big, so you could see them on the map. If they were a warehouse, you would get outside the town where you need to go. Say I need to go to a warehouse in Raleigh, North Carolina. I would get to that town. Oh, these people. You're going to see my faces on some of these so-called truck drivers of today because they're going out of here, out of this rest area right here. You would get to the area you're going to go outside of there to the nearest rest area or truck stop. Go in, pay 25 cents, and call that company and say, I am outside of your place I'm right outside of your city. I need directions on how to get to your door. And they would give you directions, and you would write down every single left and right turn. When they say turn when you get to the Dunkin' Donuts and turn left, and yeah, that's what kind of directions you had. You drove into that city and you trusted them that there were no clearances. You would ask them about the bridges, no railroads that I got to go under or anything like that. You would actually take the time to do that. And then you got this little notepad, and there's your directions on it. And if you lose that, you're going to probably be lost. And that to this day, when I use GPS on the phone or whatever, I keep it straight up like a map because that's the way I know how to do it. I don't want that saying you're going this way because I need to know if I'm going north, south, east, or west. I need to know. That's an old truck driver. You need to know. Some old truck drivers still keep their maps and they don't even use GPS still. But I like the GPS. It's an advantage, but you have to be smart enough to know that when GPS tells you to turn right down this road and there's a telephone pole right there on the corner, you don't take it. You keep going straight. Make the GPS learn your way. You don't learn the GPS way. So I did that driving, and back then, the first company I was with, I stayed with them for 3 years without a problem. I drove all over. It was a mid-sized company, which is what I like, mid-sized to small. I learned the books from the old guys. I learned how to use 3 logbooks. So you're always legal in one logbook. You have to know which one to give to the DOT if they ever ask. And everyone will show you legal. They told me how to do it back then. When another truck passed you or you passed another truck, you waved at each other. You looked at each other, you waved. Truckers knew, what flashing lights meant. You flash the lights real quick, get in front of me. You flash them long, let me go past you. Blinking lights always say thank you. It was a big difference than it is now. Everybody had a CB radio. And when I did slip seating with that first company, slip seating, I always took my radio out, put it back in, reinstalled everything. You basically take like an hour or 2 hours to get yourself ready before you take off. And then you'd want to be gone for 2 or 3 weeks because that way you wouldn't have to empty that truck out too much. So it was a different world and it was better. I moved to another company because it was better money and faster trucks. So I was like, all right, let's give this one a shot. So what happened was I worked for them and it was good. I stayed with them for 2 years. But I did the runs, more money. I was dating around and I decided I was ready to find somebody to have my babies because I wanted kids. I wanted to be a daddy. So I ended up, long story short, definitely another chapter. I was just picking women. I was looking for who would be a good mother, who would be a good mother. So I was just picking women out. And I made a wrong decision. I'm man enough to admit that when I screw up, I screwed up. When I mess up, I'm sorry. When I make a bad mistake in my life, I got to deal with it. So I did trucking. A third company I worked for was a coffin company. They were out in Indiana, and I took a bus or a train out there to them, got in that truck, and they paid even better than the other two companies I'd been with. This is probably my 5th year trucking. I got it down, but you never have it down back then until maybe 10 years. Always learn from the old guys. I used to always ask the old guys things, which is a big plus, because that's the only way you learn back then. There were no books, no internet. So, I mean, not all this world that you guys know of, none of that was here back then. So they taught me how to do things. They taught me how to get around things. And I used to make a joke. They said, have you ever been lost in a truck? I said, I've been lost to every single place I ever delivered to. That was in my 8 years back then. But my daughter was born. I got married. My daughter was born. I was still trucking. And she used to love it. She loved hopping up in the truck when it was turned off and looking in the bed, hopping on the bed in the back when she could. Back then we called them coffin trucks because there was no walking area. You would get out of the driver's seat, take a step over the gear shift, and boom, your bed was right there. So you could hop in your bed. So when you got dressed in the front. That's why you had curtains, obviously. But you got dressed in the front where the steering wheel and everything was. You had about a foot and a half space square where you could stand up to get dressed and wash up and whatever. So yeah, it was pretty compact. It was about the size of a airplane laboratory, airplane bathroom. So that was that part. We found out that if we turned the truck on, my daughter could not stand it. I mean, she screamed because the whole floor was moving. So she did. She was like, "What in the world is this? Everything's moving." So she would scream and start crying. I had to turn the truck off. But took her for a couple quick rides around the parking lot and stuff like that. Because I would park and then the wife would come get me, and we would go home and the truck would be parked for 2 or 3 days, however long I was there. But that was coffins, and it was really hard work. But I was healthier back then. They loaded the trailers front to back, floor to ceiling coffins. Each coffin had a blanket over it. So everyone was separated with the blanket so it wouldn't rotate. They belted them in and buckled them in and everything. So we would drive to the place. We had a bunch going to Brooklyn, New York. And I used to love that because they always give you tips. And there were plenty of people there to help you. And I mean, I like Brooklyn. So I'd drive up there, and in the morning we'd open the doors, and each casket would take two people, one person on the truck, pull the casket off. Two people would take the casket, walk it into their big warehouse, and place it. The blankets we'd throw alongside the trailer every time. So then, at the end, I would have to fold up every trailer fold up every blanket one by one, fold it up, and then it would go in a belly box, which is under the trailer. You'd have that open, and it was huge. And every single blanket you'd fold up. Sometimes you have 300, 400, 500 blankets. Fold them up, and they're heavy blankets. They're not household blankets. They're blankets that you use for moving. So each blanket was about 15 to 25 pounds, I guess. And you'd fold that up and get a stack of them, maybe 5 or 6, and then you put them in, fold up the next ones, do the same thing, and that's what you did with the blankets. And then once that's done, you would be able to, you have a clean trailer again. From there, they'd find another load for you going somewhere, and then another load going somewhere, and then back. You drop that trailer and pick up another one full of caskets, and you take that somewhere around the country. I enjoyed it because it was a fast truck. I was about to buy that truck, so everything was going good with that. And then my son was born in 1990. No, I didn't just have to think about it. It was 1998. My daughter was born in 1997. I got married in 1995. I remember the dates too. But my son was born in 1998, and I was still driving for that company. Actually, I did a little more than 8 years. And then, yeah, I was there for both my kids' birth. I cut both their umbilical cords, snap away from your mother. I was with both of them for weeks when they were born. I did what I needed to do because I wanted kids. I didn't really want a wife. I didn't really want, but I knew the procedure. You get a wife, then you get kids. So I did that, and I ended up getting my kids, which was my dream. It was everything I yearned for, and the feeling of wanting to be a father, wanting to be a daddy, it was there. It was exactly what I needed. So my son was born. I left out, did all that stuff, hang out with him, have fun, love my son, took off, and I would come back in 2 or 3 weeks. And then from that time, I started realizing that he didn't know who I was. I'd come back and I'd pick him up, and he'd automatically start crying and screaming because we had no idea. He's like, "Who is this old man?" So after that, it would happen again and again and again and again. And every time I made a joke about it. I used to say to people, "Hey, you want to see this kid cry? Watch this." And I would pick him up, and he would look at me and go, "Ah!" and start screaming. He had no idea who I was. And I made a jokes about it, but after probably about 6 or 7 months, probably 10 months, I couldn't take it anymore. I was like, I got to give up trucking. I can't do truck driving anymore. I just can't do it. So that was my 8 years of truck driving. After that, that was when it got pretty crazy, where I started working for a warehouse company. Goes into the pro golf after that, but that's another story, another chapter. So if you like this one, story time, relaxing with me while I'm smoking a cigar, I still got about 20 minutes on this. So that's another good thing about cigars. Besides, it makes you relax for an hour. Sometimes 70, 80 minutes, you're going to relax with that cigar. You're going to hopefully have somebody to talk to or look at a movie or something. But it's not a quick cigarette, 7 minutes and you're done. 7 minutes in heaven. This is like an hour in heaven of relaxing. The shade isn't going to hit me, I don't think. The sun's moving the other way, so I don't think I'm going to get the shade. Made that mistake. I do that every once in a while, where I'm like, I inhale, I would be smoking a cigarette. As I said, I'm not a connoisseur. Whew, but that one hit in, and it still tastes good. Yeah. So I'm still new. I've been doing this since September, August? No, September. September, I went to a party with these radio people, and that's another chapter. I can't wait to really write my book. It's hard. I don't get to sit down and just do it. So what I got is I have 2 apps that are like those text-to-talk apps, or talk-to-text apps, but I'm going to have to go in and edit them. So what I'm trying to start doing is I want to talk about it when I'm driving down the road, and do what I'm doing now, talking about. But hopefully, then I can talk in one story, because I keep jumping to this chapter, and then it's like, no, you got to go back to that chapter. Jump to this chapter, no, you got to go back to that chapter. So if I do it all at once and talk about this pertaining story, like with trucking, it goes all over the place. It does 8 years in the beginning, and a lot of experience talking about that. And then I gapped it. I went into pro golf and did that for a while until I got injured. Tried to keep it up. I still golf. Golf man tattoo, as you can see right there. So I still golf. I still can shoot. I did something called mind golf. I was called a phenom by other people because it only took me a year to get down to a scratch level, 2 years to become a pro golfer after playing, because I had a certain way I played. I played golf like people play chess. I had 5 moves in my head. I knew what I was doing on that entire hole before I got to the tee. When I got to the tee, I knew that I want to play this, this, this. I had the whole hole played by the wind, by what I saw. I knew every shot I was supposed to hit. I didn't swing it and say, oh, it's going to go over that way. No, I played it for that position right there. That was mind golf. I taught it, MIND golf. I taught it. I could tell somebody, without changing your swing, you're shooting 99 or 115. I will drop your score by at least 10 strokes on the very next time you play. All you need to do is do my mind golf. And it worked. I got a lot of money for that. Paid a lot of people paid a lot of money. I had outings where, the outings would be 70 to $150 each person. It'd be 20 to 60 people. This is one day's work. I made deals with the golf course, so I'd pay the golf course a percentage on. I'd pay them how much each person was there. They had the setup outing where they'd have the tables and the food and everything afterwards. I worked it out with them on what I was going to pay them per person, and I was left over with the tops. In one day, you could make anywhere from $500 to $2,000 in one day. One day's work. Golf is my life. Was my life. Is my life. My life goal, what I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to be an actor, and that's another story. See, I'm throwing all these chapters since this is the very first video I'm doing. So if you want to sit and enjoy it, you got nothing to do and watch me, you go ahead. But it'll be more dedicated to this subject or that subject next time and the time after that. So I left trucking in 1998, 1999. Long story short, pro golf, and then I moved to an office wholesale products warehouse, and I worked there for about 9 years. But my point back then is my jobs held for at least a year. I would work for some place and I'd work good, and usually 2, 3 years, 5 years, 9 years, years. Years is the thing. There were never any months. I did my truck driving back then. I'm truck driving. Did the golf, and then I worked for the warehouse for about 9 years. Same people, we stayed. We became a good family. Most of them disappeared. I'm only in touch with one person now, I think. Two people from there. I don't know, people disappear. And one thing I always thought about, I said, if I ever do make it in acting, I'm going to say, if you know me from anything in my past, contact me, and we'll get back in touch. Because I have people from this trucking job or that trucking job, this working for the government. I met a lot of people working for the government who are probably still there or retired as of now. A lot of important people and a lot of government stuff that I wish I could tell people. Though there's a B, but I can't tell people. I can't talk about the stuff I did. But the things that people are worried about now, oh my, they're listening on the phones. They're catching my conversations. They're spying into my house. Let me just say this. That stuff was being done back in the 80s. Okay? That's all I'm going to say on that. With this warehouse company, everybody knew layoffs were coming. It was when the electronic world really started. A lot more people were doing things online. buying things online, and getting their wholesale products online. Everybody was getting bulk. You could order and come right to your house or right to your office. So that slowed us down, and we were top branch of the whole country. This is a huge company. We were top branch twice or three times. I know definitely twice, because the very first time we had a huge party at a hotel, and it was really great. That's where I met a couple of nice people, and um, it was just the beginning of one friendship. The girl who came with me to that party, that was, I believe, around 2006, continued, and we're still friends to this day. I'm very depressed about some things going on, so she just wrote me a personal message, a PM, as you call it. Is that what it's called? A private message, just 2 days ago. So I'm glad she still loves me. Um, so after, when we knew it was going to get that way, I was like, okay, I need to start going to school for something. My girlfriend at the time, she was a firefighter, paramedic for Osceola County, and I met her through a website. Website, is that what you call a dating site? And we talked for a little bit. We met. I think it was love at first sight for both of us. The people there can know. One of my best friends to this day was at that same party, and I met her at that same party, and she met Kim. And everybody who was there can attest. It was definitely love at first sight, physical attraction, whatever you want to call it. We could have got married the next day. That's how much we really. It was such a great time. It was unbelievable. I've been in love before. I've been engaged before, twice before. One passed away. The other one and I had problems at the end where I screwed up. All me. I'd like to get in touch with her again. You know, she has a kid, and she was one of the greatest loves of my life. And she's still out there, and maybe one day I'll have a story on my lost loves. Some were killed. One was killed with a child. That one, I did something turns out to be one of the dumbest things I did in my life. And not just her, it was what I did that made her say, I can't deal with this anymore. What else? And then some were just, the one I married was wrong. That's another story. I like when you inhale a nice cigar and you put your tongue right there where it's going to get the flavors, and that's when you can actually taste. Because this is almost like a bubblegum flavor. I'm at the second third now, and the last, right here is where it's going to get full flavor after I get to the top third. The first third or last third, that's when you get the full flavor of what it's meant to be. But just then I tasted like a bubblegum. Remember those little pink bubblegum flavors? That's what I tasted in this. When I get home, as I said, with the cigars, I'm going to do a video on how to set up your humidor, how to keep your humidor good, how to store your cigars so they can last for years. I smoke cigars, I'm doing one a week right now, maybe two a week. Maybe two a week, especially if I golf. If I golf, I'm going to do one that day on the golf course so I can get double relaxation from the golf and from the cigar. But after that, when I knew I was going to get laid off at that company, I knew I was next on the list because it was a totem pole effect. I said, okay, I need to go to school. My girlfriend was a firefighter paramedic. She used to come home after her tour. She'd do 24-hour tours every third day. And when she would come home, that was a great relationship. I'm gonna have a chapter on just her and our relationship, how great it was. There was another one after her, one more after her, where it's the same kind of thing. I'm gonna have to have one subject on her. But she'd come home and I'd say, how many lives did you save today? And she'd say, 3. And she'd tell me about them, and it was so exciting. And I mean, in uniform, she looked great. She's beautiful. She was my Jennifer Aniston. To me, I saw Jennifer Aniston. But she was my girl. We got along. We talked about everything. We had dogs together. She taught me how to. Her and her father taught me how to water ski. Her father could barefoot water ski. He could flip around on his butt and everything. He had a boat, and he would come down from Canada, and they taught me how to water ski, which was awesome, especially where we were seeing this. I mean, black people swimming, and then with me, it was black people swimming and water skiing. What is going on? And we water ski with the alligators, and alligators do not. That's another subject too that I learned because I wanted to learn. I wanted to know that if I saw an alligator walking towards me, what can I do? I'm not going to run. I don't want to run. What can I do? So I was taught with a very nice size monetary donation. That's the way I'm supposed to put it. Monetary donation. They taught me how to wrestle, or what I call wrangle alligators. By myself, I can't pick up a 13-foot alligator, but I know how to tame it and calm it. Not tame it. I know how to settle it and calm it down, and hop on top of it, and get their mouth and tape their mouth, and I know the procedures. There's steps to it, and it's very tiring, but it's so exciting. It's the most exciting thing. Jumping out of a plane was not as exciting as wrangling alligators. Take that to the bank. So I knew I had to do something, so I wanted to be in some kind of medical field. I wanted to be like her because, I thought I was going to marry this girl. I thought she was going to be mine forever. And I was like, let me go ahead and join her. I'm too old and beat up to be a firefighter. And I would have done that. I mean, I tried to be a cop. In Florida, I went on ride-alongs. I did some studies with the Florida Highway Patrol, State Highway Patrol, and I wanted to, I did some classes. I wanted to be a cop. And when I give you the companies, or not companies, but the career choices I've had, there's probably been 7 or 8 that I've done, and maybe 25 that I tried, including that 7 or 8 that I've done, and other ones. I mean, I was all over the place. I've never settled in anything. Never settled. Truck driving, I kind of settled because the money is great. You get doctor, lawyer money, and that is the truth. And it's a lot of good, but it's a lot of horrible. So it's all mixed in together. You're gonna have to be able to sort out your what you want. Do you want a life? Do you want money? Do you want a girlfriend to be with you? Do you want people to ride with you? Do you want to not see your home for weeks at a time? Do you want to see the whole country? Do you want to visit the whole country and not just drive through it? Take time to see the museums, to see city tours, and then money, 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 money. Do you want to make a lot of money? Do you want to make just enough money to survive? Do you want to make enough money to be rich? Well, yes, you can. In my opinion, it's rich when you can have your own house paid for, everything paid for, and have no debt. I call that rich. And some people, it's not $1 million. No, it's not $1 million, but it's rich. Now, if you want to be rich, get yourself into golf. If you can golf, you can be rich. They'll pay you enough money to be rich. Right here, I'm sprinkling up. I'm evening up the line. Put my line a little more even, so my ash is more even, as you can see. A nice straight ash. So you get the pure smoke. You don't smoke on one side, you're getting the whole tobacco at the same time. I'm going to be a connoisseur sooner or later. I'm going to know what I need to do because this is something that I'm an old man now. I'm smoking an old man cigar. So this is just the first one. It's all over the place. It's giving you an idea of what I'm going to try to do. Maybe do my chapters. And I still want to do my book. I've wanted to do a book since, I don't know, past 15 years. I've wanted to start a book because I've died twice, which is definitely another chapter. Once when I was 20 years old, I had a heart attack, and my heart stopped, and I saw heaven. I went there, and that's amazing. Second time it stopped was 2012. So 12, 20, or 1986, 96, 06, 30 years. I have a bad heart. I had a bad heart, born with a bad heart. My daughter was also born with that bad heart. But when she was born in 1997, they had an operation. So they can do an operation for her to sew it up and fix it. With me, that operation was not heard of. I mean, if somebody mentioned that in 19, they would have been like, "What? You can do what?" I mean, the procedure is amazing. They actually had hands on my daughter's heart, pumping it for her. So she went through that and she made it. She has a good heart as far as I know. It's too bad she learned all the bad lessons from her mother, but that's another story. But she has a good heart, no problems with her heart. With me, the other way around. I'm probably going to die of a massive heart attack. Maybe it'll be on video and I'll just and die like that. And then I'll get my million views. So, anyway, with my heart in 2012, I was going to a heart doctor for probably about 10 months, and she was figuring what she needed to do. Do I need stents? Do I need open heart surgery to do this, to open up this? And my valves are small, maybe 1/3 the size of an ordinary valve, things like that. So it pumps, and then my heart is irregular, so it would pump, and then it would stop, but enough to skip a beat, not enough to stop everything, but skip a beat, and then it would start pumping again. Like if you were trying to unclog a toilet and then you stopped, and then you did it real fast to do it, and that would make the blood go boom, so it wouldn't clog up, but it would force too much, and then all of a sudden it's too much. So one day you got a ton of energy because your heart is just pumping normal, and then after that it starts slowing down, and then you feel drugged out. You're like, oh, I'm so tired, I can't do anything. So obviously, you know what I'm going to say. That's another chapter. But with my bad heart, 2012 was the second time I was in their office and I was doing this stress test, adrenaline test, where you just run and you exercise and you get your heart as high as it'll go. I fell on the ground. I couldn't breathe. I was out. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. She put me on a heart monitor for about a month. At one point, near that stress test, I was at home, and my heart, I was sleeping because I didn't know, but I kept the monitor on, obviously. It was a month straight for everything. And the next day I woke up, my phone had all these missed calls from the doctor and from the people that do the monitoring. And when I finally called my doctor back, she said, your heart stopped last night. We thought you died. Your heart stopped. The monitor flatlined, and you basically died. And I was like, whoa, what? Went and talked to her, and she told me all about how that happened, which it's a crazy long story. But through that experience, I actually saw heaven again. But it was a different kind of heaven. I saw a story where these bugs are coming now. But long story short, I was in heaven again, and I mean it's a crazy story, but I was there, and they feel like a dream. When you wake up, you have to tell yourself, was I dreaming? In these cases, I weren't, because my heart stopped. So it sort of puts it together. If your heart stops and you had a dream about heaven, you were probably there. So skeptics, what you want, and do that and say what you want. But what I saw was heaven, and I was there, and I was thrilled, and I didn't want to come back. I'm fixing the bands. I don't even want to take the band off. You can eventually, you got to take the band off, or it's going to burn, because the way they attach the band is they put a little bit of glue, a dot of glue right there, so it's not on the actual cigar. But it's a band, so you know what kind of cigar you're smoking. Some people collect them. I was thinking about that, but then I'll have a bowl full of 100 different bands, which nobody will care about except for me. So I've been just throwing them away now. I'll remember by the name what kind of cigar I smoke, because I have a big variation now. I don't want to be a one cigar type of smoker. and every once in a while you do this. I like the idea of smoking this, taste it out, smoke that, taste it out, and remember what you like. The one that I really like right now is called Romeo e Giulietta, and they have a whole bunch of different flavors. And I have like a 1916 Romeo e Giulietta, I believe, and I guess the year has to do with when that tobacco farm was there, or when it started. And some are aged, so I have a variation. But this is the way I'm going to do this right now. Is this is almost done, so it's almost time to hop back in the truck and finish my run here. Not good. But what I wanted to talk about when I first thought about this driving over here to this rest area was I was going to tell you about real trucking, which I didn't get into. So that's going to be another story, but it has to pertain with when I jumped back into trucking in 2015 to 2015 to now. And before 2015, I stayed at jobs at least a year. No problem. I stayed and did what I had to and did my part the best I could, which was always excelled, because I can learn something, and I'm not great at anything, but I can do a lot of stuff. That's just me. So now I take the band off my cigar here, take the band off and just put it there, put my lighter on top of it so it doesn't blow away. Now I have just a cigar to finish this up. This V cut is what I do. See the V? And that's a good cut. I like that because you don't snip off the whole entire clip, so you don't get that tobacco taste, spitting out tobacco pieces in your mouth. This way, you get just a little piece. Next I'm gonna try the little pipe, and there's a little circle that you put in the end, and you twist it, and then pull that out, and it's a nice little hole inside the cigar. But it's better than snipping you snip the entire piece. Then every once in a while, you're spitting out little pieces of tobacco. I think I had twice. Once when I started, and once a couple minutes ago there when I got a little tobacco in my tooth. But that's what I'm going to do. Leave me messages or whatever down here. Tell me what you like. Tell me to stay on one subject next time. Just help me out. Tell me what you think of this long video, storybook, story time. It could be like, eventually it could be like audiobooks. I have one audiobook because I get them free now. One audiobook a month. And the first one I started with was somebody named Mike Sorrentino, and he's on Jersey Shore, the reality show, the only reality show I've ever seen more than one full episode. I've followed them since the beginning. The very first episode gets you hooked. If you like people, you like good personalities, you'll watch that and you'll be like, oh, these people are really cool. And you watch, and it's crazy, but it's not made up. It's not made up, like reality TV mostly is, trying to be real. With this, it actually is real. It's these real people, their real lives for that time. Might only be a month, and they put a month of travel into a year of shows, but it's still good the way they do that. So, it's his book, and I'm in like chapter 14. It's really interesting, and I didn't think I would like audiobooks. I thought it would be boring, but listening to the author talk himself, reading that book word for word, is really interesting. So I'm gonna have to buy the book and read that, and get back to reading books. So with that, got me thinking about this, and I'm not gonna do an audiobook, obviously, because I want to do the book first. I want to get the book out, and then I can do the talk on it. So, but for now, I want to do it as just an audio visual. So you can be riding down the road and say, let me listen to one of Brian's stories and talk to him and listen to him. So tell me what you think down in the comments. Leave some points and pointers and notes and what have you. Ask about some of the stories, and I'll write you a personal letter telling you about something that happened, the gist of it. and maybe make a video about it if people like it. If I get 10 views on this, I'm done. But if I get 100 views, 1,000 views, whatever, and you guys like it, by the way, this is making YouTube videos like this is how I met a superstar. She's still a superstar. She was a superstar since the 80s. She's a superstar in my book since 1982. But I met her by making some silly YouTube videos. I made 5 of them, and that's another chapter all in itself. She's the second woman I said besides the girlfriend I had that I want to tell an entire chapter just on the relationship we had and how crazy it started, and how crazy it ended, and how crazy it was in the middle. So that's it for now. This is going straight to YouTube. I'm not going to edit anything and cut anything out. I'm going to put that in because I'm about at the last third. And now I can taste the full flavor. Piece of tobacco. Peanut butter. I taste like a peanut butter flavor in there. And see, I think it's in my mind. It doesn't taste bad though. It's really something. It doesn't taste bad. So I'm gonna definitely do some more cigar videos because some of the freebies I got condition that I review them. Maybe review the cigars, review a humidor. I just got a humidor, a better humidor, 50 to 100 cigars, and I'm gonna set that up, and I'm gonna make a video on how I set that up from the beginning because I'm doing home time next week. So next week I start really getting into this. So for now, let me know what you think. Straight to YouTube. See ya.